Today, I'm here with a very important announcement to the residents of the District of Columbia. I'm proud to introduce Assistant Chief Robert Contee as the next chief of the Metropolitan Police Department. A lot of people know Chief Contee, but I'm not sure how many of you know his full story. So I'm going to share a little bit about our next chief, and he will tell you more. Chief Contee is a native son of Washington, D.C. He was born and raised here, and while attending Spingarn High School 31 years ago, he first started working for MPD as a cadet. In fact, during his senior year, he would spend half his day at school and half his day at MPD. His first year out of school, when he became a full-time cadet, he had a unique experience for a young cadet. He was assigned to work as an assistant to then Chief Isaac Fullwood. So in a full circle moment, he is now before us all being appointed the chief of that very department. His dedication then and his mix then of both talent and energy and love of the city made him the Cadet of the Year just 2 years later. An experience that makes it easy to see why, like me, Chief Contee has a strong appreciation for the cadet program and the doors it opens for young Washingtonians. Since those first years, he has done a lot in our city. In his early days, he did traffic duty, I'm told, right here at 14th and Pennsylvania Avenue. He served as commander of 3 of our 7 police districts and led 3 of the department's 5 bureaus. With all that he has seen, he is confident that MPD can lead the way and serve as a blueprint for a modern-day police department, a department that can be used in new and better ways to reduce violent crime and continue to engage the community. What strikes me most about Chief Contee's many experiences and talents is his belief in young people. When we spoke last week, he told me that the highest honor for him was to give back to the city that raised him, and that becoming chief is a testament to what can happen when you give kids a fair shot. I know that Chief Contee is the new leader our department and our community needs right now, and I am proud to nominate him as our next police chief. Please join me in welcoming Chief Bob Contee.
Good morning, Mayor Bowser, staff members, invited guests, members of the press, my family. It is indeed an honor, privilege, and pleasure to be here with you today. I stand before you as a proud son of our nation's capital. I was raised on 21st Street Northeast, which is located in Ward 5 in the Carver Terrace community. I appreciate the many accolades received over the last few hours, and I promise to return every text message, email, and phone call. It is not lost on me how momentous this occasion is for our city, and I am so proud to be part of it. Some of you may know about my professional accomplishments, which I'm very proud of. But to really understand the man before you, you must appreciate the boy from whence he came. So today, instead of highlighting the man, I'm going to give you a glimpse into the life of the boy before the man. Back then, especially in the 1980s and 90s, life was not easy in my neighborhood. Many of the challenges and traumas experienced by so many young people today were very real and present in my community, but also in my home. Shootings, murders, crime, drug dealing, poverty, joblessness, hopelessness, domestic violence, educational and health disparities were all very present in the community. More closely in my home, I recall experiencing the mental impact of drug use and abuse. You see, my father was 17 years old when I was born, and he not only sold drugs, but he was sick with addiction before I was born into this world. I knew the smell of marijuana as a young kid. I remember the smell of PCP packaged in aluminum foil for sale and stored in a mayonnaise jar in the freezer in our home. I remember seeing powder cocaine stashed in my father's favorite hiding places, as well as syringes he used to put poison into his veins. If that was not bad enough, I remember when crack cocaine ravaged our neighborhood. My home was not spared. My dad was no longer selling drugs at that time. He was totally addicted to crack cocaine. I can recall the homemade crack pipes that replaced the syringes as his addiction intensified over the years. That addiction would last long into my adulthood and well into my rise in the Metropolitan Police Department. Some of you may be asking, well, where was your mother? I'm glad you asked that question. Mom volunteered at my school as a teacher's aide to ensure she kept tabs on me and my siblings. School was also the place where we could get meals to help carry us over when food was running low. She also wanted the best for us despite her limited resources and physical capacity. She was my first example of a strong Black woman. She was tough on us, but it was her way of demonstrating her love. She sacrificed and tolerated so that her children would grow up knowing their father, despite his sickness. While standing at only 4 feet 11 inches tall, she would always remind me that no matter how tall I got, if she had to stand up on chairs and kick my butt if I got out of line, that she would do so. I never forgot that, and I thank her for being tough on me. You had to be tough in my neighborhood to navigate the trappings that ensnare young Black men in underserved communities. It was building character. She taught me about perseverance and having an attitude of gratitude. She taught me how to be humble and to work hard. As a result, I live by the motto, excellence is transferable. In all that I do, I aim to do it in the spirit of excellence. In my house, my mom did not tolerate halfway doing anything. That means you keep trying until you get it right. Regardless of my childhood challenges, my mom and dad, they were my heroes. As imperfect as they are, when I was growing up, family was all I had. I learned so many life lessons from them. The most important lesson I learned was that the only thing to stop me from doing great things were the limitations I set in my own mind. You see, what I didn't tell you about my parents is that in addition to the challenges of the world and the community struggles we face daily, they both were born with cerebral palsy. Despite those disabilities, they raised 3 healthy children, they clothed us, they fed us, but most importantly, they loved us. And despite my father's addiction, I saw him every day. Notwithstanding his disability, he walked the 21st and Benner Road to catch the X2 bus to work every day. And now, he has been drug-free for almost 11 years, and I'm so proud of him. Through God's grace, his own willingness, determination, and drug treatment, I'm so thankful that he was never incarcerated because of his addiction. He was not violent, he was sick. So when I tell you they are my heroes, I mean it in every sense of the word. They are my heroes. In light of my past, some people would not take chances on kids with similar backgrounds that grew up in distressed communities. But I stand before you as an imperfect prototype for what can become of young people in our communities when given an opportunity. My opportunities came in the form of dedicated DC public school teachers going into their own personal pockets to ensure that I was able to go on field trips my parents could not afford. The exposure beyond my immediate community was necessary. It opened my eyes to a world I could only read about in books. It was neighbors threatening to tell my mama if I got out of line. It was job opportunities that helped break the cycle of poverty in my family. I remember sweeping doormats and taking out the trash for neighbors in the apartment buildings where I lived for small change. At 12 or 13, caddying at the Langston golf course because I was not old enough to work. At 14, working the Mayor's Summer Youth Employment Program to buy school clothes. At 15, washing dishes at a local catering company. At 16, working at the Old Kenny shoe store at Heckinger Mall. And in the summer, attending the Mayor Barry's Youth Leadership Institute on the campus of Howard University. But the most pivotal moment for me was when I got my fair shot. As a DC police cadet on November 20th, 1989, at 17 years of age. It changed my entire life. It was these and other opportunities that helped shape the man I am today. You may ask, why do I tell you all of these things? The answer is simple. I have not forgotten where I come from. These life experiences will help me to lead and guide the men and women of the Metropolitan Police Department to be the most intelligent, competent, capable, compassionate crime fighters we have seen in the District of Columbia. I want our officers to demonstrate compassion for people wherever they are on the road of life and be able to use discretion and seek alternatives when it is appropriate to resolve community conflict. As a priority, we will be laser focused on crime in our communities. People have a right to be safe and secure in their community. I know the feeling of being a survivor of violent crime. I recall the day my father on his way to work was stabbed on Minnesota Avenue. He was taken to the hospital with a collapsed lung. While I am thankful for his recovery, we never caught the person that was responsible. I know there are many families in our communities that seek justice for loved ones that have been victims of violence. And I assure you, the Metropolitan Police Department will be relentless in our pursuit of criminals that make communities unsafe. I have seen my fair share of bloodshed in our communities. It breaks my heart when I think about the promises not fulfilled as a result of violence in our communities. 197 homicides to date, over 800 people shot in our city. The levels we are experiencing are simply unacceptable, and repeat violent offenders must be held accountable for their actions to stabilize communities that are in crisis. It is impossible for communities to begin the process of healing when perpetrators of violence are ever present. I will listen intently and learn from our communities and other stakeholders to ensure our strategies are inclusive and aligned with the values of communities we serve. Communication, collaboration, cooperation, and participation by all in the ecosystem of community will be the tenets of our crime-fighting strategy. To the men and women of the Metropolitan Police Department, it has been my distinct honor to serve this city for all of my adult life. I know your job is not easy. If it were easy, then anybody could do it. You can expect me to model the behavior that I expect from you. You can expect fairness, and I expect you to be fair with members of the community. You can expect me to build relationships because we cannot have partnership without relationship. In our city, there's much work to be done. So please keep in mind that no matter what happens or how much we are criticized, we are the chosen guardians of our communities. Sometimes we may stumble along the way, but as Mama would remind me, we will keep trying until we get it right. And we will do it in a spirit of excellence. In closing, it is my great honor to lead the Metropolitan Police Department, to be the standard of excellence for policing in the 21st century. There's room at the table for anyone and everyone who is committed to ensuring focused, balanced, and fair policing in our nation's capital. It's time to go to work. Let's go.